Hi, everybody. It's Sunday, the 18th of June, 2023. Happy Father's Day to all you guys out there. Hope you have a good one. Um, just a reminder, hey, everything here is for entertainment purposes only. And so do your own research, form your own opinions. I'm just here to entertain you. So. The full description is down in the box, along with my email and all the other nonsense that the platform requires. So here we go. A couple strange things. Yesterday, I was poking around and doing some research on something, and I had noticed the announcement of this video going up, and I just kind of like, okay, whatever, but I tend to shut the computer down between 6 and 7 p.m. my time. I mean, it's like, it's the day's over. I'm not going to be on all night. I get up early in the morning, do my stuff, and but if something's going to go up, like a live video or something like that, I'm just like, you know what? If it's meant to be, I'll catch it later on, because sometimes some of these people just drone on forever. And my time's valuable, so I like to push the speed up. So I don't care if people push the playback on my stuff to 1.75. 2, it's a little bit chipmunkish, between 150 and 175. Hey, it's still listenable. So yeah, so there was this thing that was supposed to go up Friday night, and I'm like, not doing it, not waiting up. And so I was able to catch it yesterday. And it was this guy, Nino, who's a former boxer. He's from El Paso, and he's in like the real Blanc Chapeau group. So I think you can understand what I just said. Well, he had this guy on, and the topic of his live video was dealing with the third secret of Fatima. Now, there's been movies made about it, and it's been written about a gazillion times, and they're like saying that, oh, they only read half of it, they don't want to release it, but it's just, it continues on my personal opinion of the Roman Catholic Church. And I'll get to that. But they were talking about certain saints and their bodies are incorrupt and they're actually in glass cases. Well, in my adventures, I've had the opportunity to visit some of these places and see some of these incorrupt bodies. And I remember I saw the one in Paris. I think it's on the Rue de Bac or something like that. And I always got the feeling that she was never human. She wasn't the real deal. So possibly when they're finding these bodies that don't decay and they put them in the glass cases, could those people have come from a different dimension? I get a really strong hunch that's what it is. And they came down to make changes and to influence people and to give warnings. So it's not a miracle. It's because they're from a different cosmic plane. That's why their bodies don't decay in our atmosphere. Okay? And so they weren't humans, as I get the feeling they weren't humans like we know it. They're from someplace else. So to get back at this video that I was watching, they're all talking about what and what not the Catholic Church will reveal. But it's basically, they're stating that we have to get back to old values, the old faith. And it is true and documented that the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, has morphed over the centuries. Their Bible has been rewritten numerous times. I mean, it's kind of ironic that the most homophobic people use the King James Version of the Bible. Don't they realize that King James was at least bisexual? Yeah, it's kind of ironic when you drop that bomb on them. They're like, oh my gosh, panic sets in. It's real interesting to watch that go down. And they're basically saying, yeah, there's going to be tragic this and that, and Pope's supposed to be gone bye-bye, and it's basically prophetic words that still haven't come to fruition. And so, yeah, those messages are from someplace else that are watching us. And my private belief about the Catholic Church, unfortunately, I was about 7 years old, 3rd grade. I had gone from a public school to a private parochial school. Well, that curriculum was completely different. And I had a nun teaching me. And she was saying stuff that I knew that was incorrect. And I'd say, no, that's not right. This is how it is. I was a really smart kid. And she'd get really nasty to me and really start screeching at me. Well, I would go home and I would tell my mom, and she's like, no, can't be. So finally she came to the school to talk to the nun. Well, I was out in the hallway with my mother and the nun, and I was in the middle. And the nun was blatantly lying. And she was giving me this look that if I didn't agree with her, I'd be in for more. Well, I said, no, you're lying. And my mother just believed the nun. So right then, 7 years old, I learned nuns lie. So don't trust the Catholic Church. And my mother believed the nun, so I stopped all belief. And from then on, I never trusted my mother. She didn't believe her daughter, but she believed a nun. So, since, 7 years old, realize Catholic Church, messed up bunch of people. You think that Gothard thing was miserable to children? Yeah, Catholic Church, if not as bad, a lot worse. Take a look at Boston. Watch that movie Spotlight. They didn't even touch, they just barely brushed the tip of the iceberg in that movie because they couldn't go into more detail. Now, it's maybe because these people, especially these things of Fatima, one of these secrets is that they're supposed to be leading people back to old traditions, old faith. Now, my interpretation of that now is, since the Roman Catholic Church and all its offshoots, Methodist, Presbyterian, Bible thumpers, they're all using corrupted form. And it says don't worship false idols. Well, yeah, there's one that's a major idolized. That people are like, oh, we're supposed to be following the teachings of this and that. I go, well, when you start poking around, there's so many writings and this and that they all contradict each other. But one of the few things that's never really been corrupted is, yeah, in the Jewish faith, the Old Testament, the first 5 books, those really haven't been modified to any real extent. So when they say go back to the old faith, maybe we're supposed to go back and only follow what's in the first 5 books in the Old Testament. Go back to the Judaic thought. And bring some sense to the reform movement that is so complacent that no wonder so many people landed in a boxcar. Maybe those of us with brains are supposed to be waking up these people and say, hey, stop supporting the donkeys, wake up, smell the coffee. What happened 90 years ago is kicking off again. But instead of a charismatic barker, we've got a blundering fool who's a puppet. Wouldn't be surprised me if they hide his death and continue having an actor in a mask playing the role for another 5 years. Be careful, folks. Yeah. That's something to think about. I know it rattles cages, and a lot of people may go bye-bye off this channel, but hey, I'm a clairvoyant, a psychic. So if you're such a good Catholic or good Christian, you shouldn't be watching this anyway. Yeah, folks. So yeah, if you can find it, it's like watch it. Form your own opinion. There's a lot of different videos that are out there. You have to poke around, and some of them are on the more obscure streaming channels. In the more obscure places, those are the ones that really are that are normally the most accurate. So start poking around. There's some interesting stuff out there. It really is. And it's avoid the big name streaming channels. Go for obscurity. That's where you're going to find it. Go to your public libraries that have been around for decades and start looking at some of the oldest books. They were printed and published before the modern censorship kicked off. And you will find diaries written by people who lived through all the nonsense that happened 90 years ago. So, yeah, back a while back, it's... yeah, I kept wishing, gee, I wish I had a position where all I could do is stay home and read. And now, yeah, I'm kind of in that position where I don't have to worry about going to a 9 to 5. And if I want to, I can go get books and just read to my heart's content. Look for older publications. They're the ones that have not been censored. And start reading up. Start reading the real history. Not the stuff that has been corrupted to suit the current woke agenda that has been pre-planned for the past couple of decades. This stuff started out, I'd say, back during the Summer of Love, starting about 67 to 72. That's when they started to plant, that's when they planted the seeds of the corruption. And just do some math and you'll realize that the super wokes are the descendants of the Summer of Love hippies. Just do the math, folks. Now the past couple mornings, yeah, I did. My favorite Swede was been on, and he's making comments about 2 locations that suffered the greatest population loss during the lockdowns. One was northern Italy. The other was NYC. I have a feeling they did it in NYC to get rid of, it's mainly the compliant. Or they were targeting those who knew the truth. So anybody over a certain age, they immediately were putting down a tube down their throat or giving the medication that after 72 hours would cause organ failure. So start checking the demographics of the population loss during the lockdown. They were trying to get rid of those who know the real history. That's what you need to look for. That's what he was talking about. Okay, he was talking about that yesterday on Saturday, and then today he brought up the fact that almost 5 years ago in 2018, little Greta, the chick that wears the 2 long pigtail braids, was saying that in 5 years we're all going to go bye-bye because of climate change. I go, well, you know what? That 5-year anniversary is going to happen in a few days. Ain't happening. In fact, over the past few years, in certain areas, they've had the coldest winters on Earth in history. Yeah. What is going to try and destroy us is all this open border nonsense. Like the ISIS people, I think they're trying to send armies in to get ready to pull some nonsense. We got to be careful of that. That's open border nonsense, and that was started with Bean Brain, and it's like Donald locked things down, but he was the monkey wrench in their big plan. So that's why they had to rearrange the job interview in favor of Bean Brain's puppet. But what's between the open borders and then like what some people call the great medical experiment that for 3 years basically it did trash the economy. It trashed the lives of so many people. Those who were at the age to learn a work ethic were very much rewarded to sit home on their butt. Children were denied an education and socialization skills for two years. They were kept in isolation. So I would say the majority of the kids these days are at least 2 years behind in education. So I don't think they should have been promoted. Yeah, we've got a lot of people walking around with high school diplomas who don't know their butt from a hole in the ground, can't pass a simple GED test. We have kids who can't write, who can't read, who can't do simple mathematics. We need to possibly get the woke teachers out of the school and bring back just the basics. Teach the kids to read, basic grammar skills, basic math. That's what we need to do. Forget this, we've got to teach them all about how to be gender fluid. No. If someone can't add 2 and 2, they're not smart enough to understand how wrong being gender fluid is. And they're now down in Australia, in Queensland. They are making a big deal because these people who are indecisive about what they are now invading some of the few safe spaces for women. I mean, biological males are now going into shelters for women who had been victims of domestic violence. Here, they are in fear of men, and now these transvestites are invading their safe space, and people are now starting to make noise. We all have to make noise, because remember, the squeakiest of wheels gets the grease. Don't sit back, don't be compliant, be vocal. If you don't agree with this transvestite nonsense, speak up daily. Total strangers. So what if some people look at you like, oh my God, that person's a Karen? Well, you know what? Being awarded the badge of Karen should be considered a trophy because we're calling out the nonsense. And that's what all of us need to do. My dad told me, he goes, if something ever goes down with something that I'm working at while I'm at work, scream for the audio tapes. I'll be screaming bloody murder as to what's really happening. He goes, be a whistleblower. Don't let anybody stop you. If you see something wrong, call it out. That's basically how I've been living my life. And I'm not afraid to. Some things, yeah, that we're calling out is like, dear sweet little Rachel, you know, the one that I guess their lease on that house in Montecito is up. Someone said they saw trucks, but who knows? And each one of them, she and her, the other name on the marriage license, and they're in separate accommodations right now. Now they're saying that it was a mutual separation from that audio channel. Well, I know people who actually have their stuff up on that audio channel, and they said it really doesn't make, if you're an actual creator, unless you're one of the big names, you don't make much money off of it. So I guess they initially got a big contract, but they couldn't produce the content, so that streaming channel said, your contract, this clause in the contract, you violated, so bye-bye. Well, they're trying to say it was mutual decision, but Spotify, they basically have a generic contract that all their content providers have to follow, so basically they got booted because they didn't fulfill their obligation of providing enough content within a certain calendar time. So yeah, they got booted. They didn't quit. They got booted. And yeah, and they're being frozen out of everything. It's like, because people know that, and it's so obvious, like with their clothing. They're walking around with cameras and remote mics, so people don't trust them. They don't want them around because people know that whatever is said and done, within one, it suits them, they will release the conversations or the photos. So people don't want them around. So they're being shut down on every avenue. And she's still thinking she's going to get something, but she really doesn't have the skill set to do what needs to be done. I mean, she's going to make a last-ditch effort of putting up her, resurrecting her website. Sorry, sweetie, but Gwenny has that area covered. And she's not going to let some wannabe step on her territory. You're SOL right there, okay? I mean, Gwenny does have some strange stuff on her website for sale. but you're not even close to her league at all, okay? Now, it's been in the news. Yeah, Blinken arrived in the Big Red Sea. Now, I guess, yeah, he was supposed to go over there in February, but we all know about the big thing floating across America. Yeah, well, they had to allow the Big Red Sea to get as much information about us as possible. And now that they've digested and dissected all that information, now it was okay for Blinken to go over and visit. Now, currently it's only being announced that he's only allowed to talk to their equivalent of Secretary of State, which is ironic because the Grand Poobah of the Big Red Sea was hanging out with Billy Gates. Is Billy Gates giving the Big Red Sea entree into the back door of everything that's run on one of his programs? I really want to know what went on with those meetings with Billy Gates and the Grand Poobah. Let's see if the Grand Poobah will grant Blinken an audience. I'm getting doubtful, but he may be granted a few minutes. A photo op, but no conversation. And they're not going to cover the real issues. They may touch briefly on climate control and how much of a certain certain medication that people are using as a party favor. I think they're going to discuss how many party favors they're going to allow to be imported into the United States. That's what I think they're really talking about. That's a scary backdoor deal. But after the visit, I think the numbers of the party favors is going to kind of skyrocket. Okay? And what's his face? Jojo, he had a big meeting with conglomeration of union members. I would say at that venue, about 50% of the attendees, it was forced requirement to attend. Yeah, they were there because they had to play like a good union member, or else they would be kind of given the short end of the stick. It was forced attendance, not willful attendance, at that big gathering. No, on a personal note, I've been going through the analytics, and I've noticed that, okay, there's a couple people that try to take digs at me, and they go on other channels, they do a live stream, make a couple digs, and then all of a sudden that live stream is deleted or gone bye-bye. Hey, I missed a few. Not every, you forgot to put the thumbs down on a few of the videos. But you see, any kind of interaction, be it good or bad, it lets this streaming platform know that I'm getting interest. So I think it's kind of funny. So either keep clicking the thumbs down, you guys, or if you really want to be mean, just ignore me completely, okay? And go back to your little nonsense. I think it's funny. And other people do also, so it's... So, yeah, happy Father's Day to everybody. Basically, the biological males. Not the women who think they're a guy, but happy Father's Day to the guys who actually donated a swimmer to an egg, okay, or adopted. Okay, guys? The men who know they are men and behave like men. That's who the Father's Day wishes are going out to. Like I said, today's the 18th. Today's Sunday, so my next video will go up on Tuesday the 20th. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day and evening, and I'll be talking to you on Tuesday. Bye-bye.